Fasting alone is healthy.
Right.
It's beneficial. It detoxes your system. It clears you from the, I don't want to use the word garbage, but it clears you from the toxins.
Absolutely.
And of course, like when your body is clear is when your mind is clear. So it's a time to really be mindful if done right.
Okay, with me in the studio is Dania Halaoui, who is a health coach, and she's going to elaborate a bit more about what that means and what it takes to be a health coach and the different layers of being a health coach. But before we get started, I just want to know a bit more about you, like your journey. How did it all start? Did you always know that you wanted to get into health?
Hello, Maria. Thank you for having me today. Did I always know? No, that's a big no. So I took the road most taken. I studied what my friends were studying back in university. I went into business. Marketing was the popular choice back then.
Right.
After graduation, I took again the path of good corporate names. So I went for the bottling, Pepsi bottling. I went for the Shell hoops, for the Azidias.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, for me, wellness was basically just looking good on the outside, being a size 0, being a size 2, looking good.
Right.
And that was it. Like, there was no depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
So did I know? No, definitely not. It was my journey that got me to where I am right now.
Right.
20 years later.
Okay, and that journey, that's what I'm curious about. So what was your journey like? Like, what was the transition point, or when did you feel like, okay, this is where the corporate life stops and I begin to pursue the health aspect?
So when I was in the corporate life and jumping from company, and that was what I was doing, jumping because something was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And back then I didn't understand what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
There was this emptiness. I'd go to work from 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 7, waiting to come back home, waiting for the weekend to come, waiting to go out with my friends, to socialize, to forget about the weekdays.
Right.
So something was missing, yet I didn't know what that was. What made that switch, it was when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune called rheumatoid arthritis, and I had to go into surgery. And while recovering from that surgery, I had my physiotherapist look at me and say, Dania, you're not feeling good. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm recovering. Physically, I'm getting better. She's like, yeah, but you're not feeling good. I was like, okay. She's like, I have someone, and she's a life coach.
Okay.
I was like, what is a life coach? Is that a therapist? She's like, no. It's someone who can be your friend, and she'll be your mentor and just someone to talk to. So I took an appointment with her, and that was my first life coach. And I fell in love with our appointments. It was once a week, and during that week, I would look forward to that day.
Nice.
She introduced the world of wellness to me. And from her, she spoke about foods and the power of foods on your body. And she introduced me to a health coach.
Yeah.
Who she works with.
Okay.
And I remember her name was Anna. And Anna taught me that foods are healing.
Yeah.
And just spending a few days with Anna, and she spoke about the program she did, which was a certification from the IIN, based in New York. And I was like, I have to have that certification. I have to study to see how these foods will nourish myself and make me heal. So I did this program in 2015. And Maria, it was one of the best years back then. Like, I met like-minded souls. It was just a different world. It was a world I did not know existed. Okay? So that's when my health journey started. And I was like, okay, I was still in corporate, still hating my corporate job.
I feel like this is a red flag for everyone listening.
But I knew deep down that this is where I wanted to be. Like, somehow I'm going to get myself to that wellness world.
Right.
How? Back then, I didn't know. So I made the bold move, and I quit the corporate world, and I gave my whole heart and soul for 6 months looking for a bridge to wellness. Back then, a bridge is what? Maybe doing some kind of business, marketing for a wellness company. So I went online, I Googled, and most of the HR personnel were not specifically back then, because wellness was still small back in 2016. It was not as huge as it is today. I met this lovely lady. Honestly, there was like 4 or 5 months of really putting my whole heart and soul into searching for something. I met this lovely lady who introduced me to the clinic that I work for. So how did I start? I started off as doing some marketing projects, freelance for them.
Okay. So using your corporate
using my
experience.
corporate experience, great, exactly.
Nice.
I managed to set foot into the wellness world.
Nice.
Months later, I was offered a part-time job as a health coach with them. Having had the certification, that was like a green door into that space. Months later, I was hired as full-time, and I spent a beautiful 6 years. And Mari, I cannot tell you what a switch of world that was for me.
Yeah.
Like, I felt alive. I was a different person. Like, I was actually happy. I found my passion. I would wake up excited to go to work. I would spend hours, post my hours, after hours, just happily taking in more clients. I met lovely, beautiful souls. I helped beautiful souls. So I would say that was my first step into wellness.
Amazing. Okay, so I don't know what you were like before, but I can tell, like, from the first impression, you're glowing. Like,
Yes.
you're coming to talk about something that you can literally testify for anywhere. And I feel like you have that passion, you have that drive. And I love that you mentioned you used your corporate experience, you know, as your way in to the health world, I want to say.
Yes.
And it just goes to show that nothing goes to waste. Like,
Nothing
any
goes to waste,
experience that you
absolutely.
get, like the path that you went through, you were meant to go through.
I was meant to go through. That was my journey.
Exactly.
And the journey does not end there. Of course, there's going to be
Exactly.
ups and downs. And of
course.
course, like, it's just a matter of how you look at things.
Yes, of course. Okay, so going into the technicalities of health, I mean, we've spoken to so many life coaches. We've spoken to psychologists. We've spoken to Ayurveda, you know, experts. We've spoken to so many people on the show. And the one constant notion that we were left with, or they were all consistently agreeing on the fact that your mind, your body, and your soul are interconnected.
Yes.
And I think that was a huge part of your journey as well. You were saying that you didn't have the drive. You felt like your life was slowly deteriorating because of the path that you were in. It doesn't mean that the corporate world was bad. It just wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me, exactly. I have friends in the corporate world, and I see them glowing and
Exactly.
super happy. Well, great for them. That's for them.
Exactly.
This is my path. This is my journey.
Exactly.
And I'm where I'm meant to be.
And I want you to tell us a bit more how like your mind really affected your body, and it could have been part of the fact that you needed to start this wellness journey. Is that it wasn't only about, you know, finding your passion or pursuing a different career, but it was also about how mentally you were doing and how these three are actually interconnected. Like, as a client, if I come to you, how would you explain that to me if I'm not still convinced that, oh, you know, my weight gain could have to do with or whatever it is, or my health overall is affected by the stress or my mind or how well I'm doing or my sleep? How is everything affecting everything in the body? Like, what would you tell me as a first-time client?
First of all, let's talk about it in a science way. 60% of your neurotransmitters are found in the gut. What are
Okay.
neurotransmitters? They're your brain hormones.
Right.
So that already is the gut-mind axis.
Right.
So it is connected. And what I like to give is my journey. So I started off in corporate. I moved to wellness. I studied IN, nutrition. So for me, back then, I thought it was just related to food. I healed my autoimmune. You can't completely get off it, but I put it to peace, let's say, by choosing the right food. But was my mind there? No. What was missing was that self-love,
Right.
that self-compassion.
Right.
I would say for the longest period of time, I did not put myself first. Up until, I would say, maybe 1 year ago. And I'll tell you a bit of that. So I had my rheumatoid arthritis. I used food to treat it. I moved to wellness. That's a big check. But I was not putting myself first. My mind was disconnected from my body. For me, I thought if I just checked the points, I ate the right foods, I drank the water, I slept 8 hours,
Yeah.
I check, that's it. But for me, wellness, now I know that wellness is a continuous journey.
Right.
It's not a one-time stop thing. It's not something that's it's something that you go through. It's your journey. And looking back, my rheumatoid arthritis journey, fine, I managed that back then. But something I missed was not giving myself enough love. I was playing the victim.
Yeah.
Why is this happening to me? Why me and not the others? Why? I'm doing everything right. So when I got when I faced another medical, what's the word? Implication
Yeah.
2 years ago, I had a bilateral mastectomy.
Okay.
And I did not take that well.
Mm.
Physically, I was great after the surgery, so check. And my friends were there, check. You know, but mentally, I was refusing the fact that me, health coach, I had to go through a mastectomy. I mean, what would my clients say? I mean, I'm preaching health to them, yet look at what's happening to me. So for 1 year, I was feeling sorry for myself. I was being cruel to myself. I did not recognize myself, and so that was 1 year. My career had to stop. I quit the clinic. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe wellness is not for me. I went back to the corporate world with a friend.
Oh, you
for a
went
month.
back.
I went back working with a friend, and I was, demotivated. Zero performance. I could not get myself out of bed. I was just not understanding what was going on with me. I was just feeling sorry. What happened then? I just decided to take a few steps back and really go through the whole wellness. What is wellness again?
Right.
So I quit that corporate job 3 months later, and I took time off.
Good.
And I had to really step back, travel. I went to see my sister and be a bit more mindful to see what is it that's happening to me. And that's when I realized I'm not loving myself. I'm not putting myself first. I was the last in my list of priorities. And by loving yourself, it's basically doing what's right for you, right? The right job, the right relationship, the right circle of friends, doing exactly what's right for you. And it was only when I started truly loving myself and putting myself first, regardless of the voices around me, that's when I know and I'm able to face any other setback, which happened.
Yeah.
Like after the mastectomy, 1 year later, I had more cells and I had another surgery. 1 month later, which was like 3 weeks ago, I had another surgery. But here I am standing. Here I am. I just launched my business. I'm super ecstatic and even more passionate than I ever was before, because this is my journey and now I know how to handle it.
And honestly, I think myself and everyone listening, we applaud you for coming on and for sharing that. And I'd like to say that even though you mentioned that you were sort of ashamed that you would have to meet clients, even though you were going through, your own health, journey, I think that's the main reason you need to pursue this career in wellness, because
Absolutely.
people love that you can relate to whatever they might be going through.
True.
You're preaching what you went through.
And I hid it from them for 1 year after my huge surgery, my bilateral mastectomy. I hid it from them because I was ashamed. And you're right, because right now I'm opening up to them. So one of them asked me, where were you 2 years ago? And I told her, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, I love you even more now. Like,
exactly.
Why did you hide it?
Yes.
Why did you do that? Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not caring about what other people think. It's really being very open and transparent and putting myself first.
Exactly. And it's not like it's something that you did that got you through this. It's just something
it's
that
all
happened.
a learning. Looking back, everything was a learning for me to be where I'm at.
Exactly.
The rheumatoid arthritis, the pre-cancer, these surgeries, it's all a learning that health is much more than just what you put in your body. It's what you put in your mind.
Yes.
It's how you treat yourself.
Yes.
And obviously when you love yourself enough, you're going to choose the right things.
Exactly.
You're going to eat the right food. You're going to sleep at the right time. Of course there's a balance, but you're going to love yourself just like you love your baby, your own soul.
Of course. And you're going to feel better. I'm sorry, but you can take all the medications in the world and you can be so punctual with your doctor's visits, but at the end of the day,
if this is not right,
you still feel awful.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're medicating, but you still feel awful at the core. No, honestly, I love everything that you've shared so far, and thank you for being so candid. And I
Thank
think,
you.
and I applaud you for also sharing your journey with your clients, which is also a good segue into your business. Tell us a bit more about that. So, what are typically the clients that come forward to you?
Of course.
And if you can tell us like some cases without revealing too much,
Yeah.
obviously, and like preserving their identities. But yeah,
Absolutely.
if you could share.
So my journey as a health coach started at the clinic, and I'm super grateful for them for starting up this, giving me this opportunity. Back then, I was known for weight loss. So I was a weight loss specialist. And by weight loss, I don't mean fad diets, yes, come in, come go.
Right.
It's as a health coach, it's basically looking at their lifestyle and helping them get to we call it their happy weight.
Right.
Because your happy weight is when you're feeling your best, right? So
Absolutely.
I asked my clients, like, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? What makes you super happy? And I work towards helping them get there by being their cheerleader. So it's not like I see them once a month and that's it. I see them literally every single week. They have me on WhatsApp. So that was at the clinic. So when I start, and honestly, I did not decide to start as a health coach alone. It was my clients that came up to me.
Oh, wow.
So I had one special client, and she's been behind my back, I'm not joking, for 2 years, a year and a half.
Nice.
Asking me to take her on. So she was like my first client off record.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started sending people and her friends, and this is how it happened. So
Amazing.
currently, yes, I have some clients that struggle with weight loss. I have some clients that don't know much about, they don't need to lose weight, but they have no idea what to eat to feel good. So they're at a normal BMI, they look good, but they're not feeling good. So I help them with that. I have another client who just needs accountability. She's like, I just need a reminder, because I do offer WhatsApp support. So every single day I send a soft reminder, hey,
I'm here.
I'm here if you need anything.
Right.
So I have people who think they have no time to eat during the day, but hey, you have time to drink water, you have time to check the net, you will have time to eat.
Yes.
So I recently got a new client who just had one meal, which was like an 8 p.m. dinner every single day. So breakfast and lunch was unknown.
Oh, man.
What other kinds? So it's basically helping based on what their objectives are.
Yeah.
I take them on.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so as a person that's working in health and well-being and that's dealing with clients, especially from a nutritional side, do you feel like there are like top 3 common challenges between people? Like, is it, I can't lose weight, for instance? Like,
I think the main theme for me is inconsistency.
Okay.
So they come to me. I had a client, and she was postmenopausal, so she was going through menopause, and she had gained in 5 years. And she's like, I have done everything, Dania. So when I sat with her and understood what her cycle was basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. She was like eating balanced, 3 meals, etc.
On point, yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, outings, breakfast out, brunches. So that's what I'm seeing mainly is the inconsistency. It's the too much information, so they don't know what. So that's the second point, is just overload of information that we have nowadays on Instagram, on the net.
Yes.
Where
do I eat protein? Do I not eat protein?
Absolutely.
Are
So
carbs
they
good
come
or-
to me completely confused. So,
Yes.
so that's the main problem.
Yes.
Another problem I see a lot is, but I'm exercising, So yes. No. Exercise does not cancel a bad diet.
Yes.
It complements it. So yes,
Absolutely.
exercise is great. But you can't eat your burgers and your pizzas and your ice cream every single day and like exercise for 5 hours. So I think those are the top 3 that I've been seeing a lot.
I love that you mentioned that, because I think the one thing that I learned it fairly recently, I would say 5 years ago, is that it's like 75 to 80% your diet or your nutrition.
Absolutely.
And then 20% or 15% the exercise that you actually
and
put
nutrition does not, and this is what I'm doing on my social media currently, is nutrition does not have to be healthy, does not have to be boring.
Exactly.
There's so many ways of making delicious meals by just using the right ingredients.
Yes.
So that's what I tend to teach my clients as well. So I have like a whole library of recipes that I share with them. If also they're going out, I teach them how to choose wisely from the restaurant menu. It's not perfection; it's making better choices. This is why I try to teach my clients.
That's crucial, honestly, because we live a fast-paced
absolutely
life,
it's a lifestyle.
honestly.
So this is what it's not a short term. I teach them how to continue without me.
Exactly.
How to go on choosing healthier without me.
Exactly. It's sustaining that journey is always, you mentioned it, consistency. Like staying consistent and true to your wellness and your health is always difficult. Okay, so now that, we're in the holy month of Ramadan, and the fast tends to be a bit more difficult for people to stay disciplined, again, given that they're fasting long hours and then breaking their fast, obviously. How can people approach it in a healthy manner? Like, what can people do during Ramadan to sustain, a healthy lifestyle?
So fasting alone is healthy. It's beneficial. It detoxes your system. It clears you from the, I don't want to use the word garbage, but it clears you from the toxins.
Absolutely.
And of course, like when your body is clear is when your mind is clear. So it's a time to really be mindful if done right. And to answer your question, yes, I mean, you don't need to cancel out your desserts, but don't have them every single day.
Right.
Like be mindful of what goes into your stomach, and I hear that from a lot of people after iftar. Oh, I can't move. Oh, I need to lie down, and that's not a pleasant feeling. So break your fast mindfully. Yes, it's culturally. I think it's a religious. To have your date, but personally I would start with like a vegetable soup, water, a vegetable soup. I would start with the fibers, with the vegetables. I would move to the proteins, and then I would move to the carbs.
Yes.
So I always ask my clients to eat in this order. Have your dates as dessert right after your carbs.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, one meal. I don't prefer just one meal. So it depends on the person. Do they wake up? Or do they just go to bed and fast till the next day? So if they do wake up, so that's your breakfast.
Right.
Okay, so you have your iftar, you have a lighter meal before you sleep, and then you have your breakfast. For those that don't wake up, then it's a proper iftar and a lighter meal of like a protein, carbs, fruits, vegetables, etc., Greek yogurt, eggs, whatever works. Have your treat once or twice a week. Okay, but don't overindulge every single day, and you will feel, and I asked them to try it out, because just hearing this, you're like, oh no, but all these iftars, try it out and see how you feel. And once you feel great, you'd want to do more of that.
Yeah. And even if you have like an iftar dinner with friends, or you're going out,
you can choose wisely.
Exactly.
You can choose wisely. And this is what I teach everyone. Choose wisely. You don't have to stop your outings. You don't have to stop your social life, because wellness is community, right?
Of course.
Community is part of wellness.
Of course.
Your social surroundings. So do not stop that. Just be wiser in your choices.
I love that you mentioned the order of the meals, because I myself went through like a bit of a shaky, wellness journey. I've always struggled with my health and my nutrition, like how I absorb nutritional value from like certain foods. And I found out that I was insulin resistant, I think a year ago, or a little over a year ago. And the one thing that my doctor told me, and I love that he did not prescribe any medication while others did.
Yes.
And all he said was, no, there's a way around it. You need to just follow certain guidelines. And I actually started following someone called the Glucose Goddess.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if
so
you know.
the apple cider vinegar. Oh, yes, I have that on my plan.
Those tricks, all these tricks. And she also mentions, eat your salad and then like 2/3 of that, and then introduce the protein. And then after you're done with that, then the carbs.
So I tell people, just try it and see how you feel. And there's not one person that comes back to me and says, it's just a game changer.
It really did change my life.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, and my insulin resistance, decreased exponentially. I was borderline pre-diabetic, and it wasn't. And it was funny because a lot of doctors were like, "Oh, but you're not overweight," and I'm like, "It has nothing to do with it."
Thank you.
Exactly, and that's how I started my own wellness journey. I'm not perfect, and obviously,
listen, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
No one is perfect. There's a learning, and it's just trying to be your best as much as you can.
Exactly. And just knowing that, okay, fine, I indulged one day. It's okay.
Forgive yourself. Just
move on.
Exactly.
The forgiveness was my difficult part. And that's why I completely relate with the bit when you were talking about how you were harsh on yourself. I think I'm the most self-critical person. And I learned that as I started my journey.
I think all of us are, and it is a learning. Like we need to relearn how to love ourselves.
Yes, and just forgiving myself. It's okay. Like I used to wake up and just remember the meal that I had the day before and be like, oh, I can't do this anymore. No, this was so bad. And I was just, giving myself such negative feedback when really it's okay. It's a new day. Start over, and you can do it. Okay, so we spoke about how to eat during Ramadan. Do you have any tips for exercise?
Yes. I always encourage myself, my friends, my clients to have a small walk after every meal. That's good for digestion. Mm-hmm. So for those who don't want to exercise during the month of Ramadan, I respect that, but at least don't get rid of your walks. Mm-hmm. For those who want to exercise, I would do it like right before iftar. Okay, because I don't want you to stay hungry with no food and water for a long time. So do your exercise right before iftar and then have your meal. Okay. But definitely the walks.
Can you explain like how that helps? Like, does it just help with the burning process? Does it help with the digestion? Like, is that what's
energy? It's energy.
So
right?
It's energy.
Exactly.
So you don't feel that that slump after. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
The walk is a game changer as well.
Okay.
The walks. And it doesn't have to be 30 minutes or 1 hour. I'm talking about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Just get yourself moving.
Okay, amazing. And what about if someone wants to exercise in the morning? So like let's say they had their morning meal.
I would go for a very soft sort of, I call them the yin exercises. So the yogas, the Pilates, the swimming, the walks, that's absolutely fine.
Nice. Okay.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Last thing, I know your time is very valuable and you were saying you have a lot of clients and we don't want to take you from them, but just advice, general advice for someone who is currently struggling, doesn't know where to start, and just feels like they're about to give up.
Take it one step at a time. There's no one's judging. You're your only judge. Be kind to yourself, self-love, one step at a time. So it could be adding just 1,000 more steps a day. Mm-hmm. It could be drinking more water. It could be sleeping a bit earlier. Mm-hmm. It could be having less treats per week. So write down your objective, break it down, and one step at a time.
Amazing. Dania, how can people find you?
Kouni by Dania, so it's Kouni by Dania, one word. I'm on Instagram, and yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing everything.
Thank you, Maria.